on. Hello, this is Makiko from Rayki Lab. How are you? I have a very special guest today. His name is Ken, and he has a very cool stuff, and I really want to share with you. So here I am, and Ken. I will introduce Ken in a bit, but I really want to brief you on what happened. The recent, interesting things with Ken and his research. So this was about, I think it's 3 months ago. Or I could be completely wrong, but it's pretty fresh. I have been ill, and then I understand and knew my heart and my chest area was the main cause of it. Since I'm a healer and I really see energy and feel, I do feel the coldness and emptiness around my chest. And I know it's not good. Of course, we all know that that's not a really good thing, especially the heart. If you're a healer, you understand. And if you're in an energy medicine, energy field, you understand how important the heart is. Now, I didn't know how bad it is until I see Ken. And he has a very cool instrument to measure and visualize your energy field. He will explain to you more later. But what it showed to me was the following. I have a beautiful energy field, and then also a break around here in the heart. And then it starts, the following. That contrast was so clear and very shocking to me to see that in front of my eyes. And remember, I was a scientist, and they giving me the number and all the additional parameters, my health status, my emotional being, the stress level, etc., especially this heart area. So it was so convincing that it didn't take me too long to motivate me. I got to do something. You really have to do something. And there's a tool available at that time. And thanks to Ken, I recovered very quickly. And nice to actually see the before and then after picture. Before I go too long, I kind of want to introduce Ken and what he does and why we emphasize so much on heart. And there's some scientific fact and evidences being accumulated by various different great people. And Ken will introduce you the brief, the scientific world of the heart and how important the heart is. And perhaps he could add a little bit more around this wonderful machine he has. And before too much more, we'll introduce Ken, and it's over to you. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name's Ken. Yes, I started working with Makiko probably about 2 to 3 months ago. So we kind of just linked up, on a non-formal basis at first to kind of show her the different technologies that I use within my practice. So I started doing this about 5 years ago. I integrated technology into my approach about 3 years ago. And during that process, I really started focusing on more of like the heart intelligence about 2 years ago. I got certified through Heart Math as a heart math coach. And I started really researching the science behind, the heart and like why we feel like this intuitive feeling, these different energetic connections around us within our environment and how that actually affects our health, well-being, our overall coherence. So, so I've been doing that for about like solid 2 years now, working with people on developing their heart intelligence. The technology aspect of it has always been awesome for me. Because I feel like, typically, most people are pretty aware of what's going on, the way they feel, but they don't necessarily understand how it's affecting them, especially with the newer approaches, in regards to the popularity of like the chakras. It's not a new approach, but the popularity is so new, and the visualization of seeing what chakras are off, what your energy levels are at, and how it's affecting your heart is just a powerful thing.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So this is a thing that it's important, visualization. I'm a very visually oriented person, and then I'm lucky enough to see and feel. but it is difficult when I try to communicate this to folks who are less familiar, right? Or less, let's say, clairvoyance. And then not all of us is made in the same way.
Exactly.
However, using your method, in everybody could visualize and see it. I think the beauty of it is also the way we've been trained, right, in school. We like to see the number. We like to see the bar graph and charts
Yeah.
instead of just to, intuitively, understand your progress. And I think it's both important. I like, in particular, you have that, you have all the tool under the belt, but also be able to communicate well how to interpret in those results,
Yeah.
and then actually kind of measure the progress. That I think that's the part that fascinated me the most, how quickly the one energy can shift and change. I'd like to kind of talk a little bit more about the impact of the heart on other organs, or chakra, you can say, and your take on what is a key or core message that you learn from heart math, because you say heart and math, right? So
Yeah.
there must be some core message around heart math that really intrigue you to be a certified coach.
So for me, it's been a personal, like more of a personal development thing for myself, because I've suffered with like high stress, high blood pressure. My mother had passed away of congenital heart failure, so heart disease runs in my family. And my mom was very super connected, intuitively with people and stuff. So I started really understanding a lot of the issues that she had, physically for herself. And I stumbled upon heart math because I started just researching Heart Math Institute for many years, like, pulling information in regards to like heart intelligence. Because how do I say this? Most people, their definition of love, a heart-based type of love approach is very much like boundaries, expectations, need-based. So as I started exploring, those type of approaches, within my own life, like needs-based relationships and how it was affecting my stress levels, and actually integrating technology into it, that's when I really started focusing on heart math, because I started seeing that there were huge impacts on our emotions, to our thoughts, like on our heart rate, on our blood pressure, on our overall like cognitive function. One of the most fascinating things that I learned, which is I hope that it's common knowledge now, but the heart has a completely separate neurological system than the brain. So a lot of our decision making can actually be done with what we feel. Okay, the heart's a very powerful thing, but in most people's lives, when we start operating from our heart center, we set up like unhealthy boundaries. Okay, we're working from the heart space, but we're not really understanding the impact of our relationships, even within the physiology of our bodies, how it's impacting our health. When we look at it from like the chakra perspective, that's everything passes through the heart chakra. And as healers, most of my clients are typically healers, professionals. I have some people that are just looking for private development, but most of the people that I deal with, they're already operating from the heart center, and they're having issues with really managing that relationship with themselves. So it really affects their brain activity, the way they process information, how it's being routed through their body.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think, like you said, we all know how important it is. But when you said about, the scientific kind of quote around it, it kind of really crystallized, and it actually kind of changed constructively our behavior. So, as a scientist, I usually tend to be a little bit too cynical, because not all science, give you as an answer. Actually, give you as more to explore by knowing more. But you're absolutely right. Heart itself has a closed system of intelligence its own, and the more we could operate from that in a healthy way, you know, we could be more connected to ourselves and our higher self. I like the way the heart intelligence you mentioned, and I would kind of like to talk about it a little bit more. But I like to have that as a next topic, and kind of sum up here is introducing a Ken to the group. Thank you so much. And we learned so much about this short synapse. We are very intelligent being, but the heart as an organ itself has its own intelligence. And as a healer, how important to maintain our heart and having a boundary. And he mentioned about the healthy relationship. So let's talk a little bit more and later in a different section. Until then, be well, and thank you so much for Ken for participation, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Namaste.